is a video tutorial on how to deal with materials and lights in Cinema 4D. Um, First, let me clean these off. So, in order to create materials or ways that these things can have different surfaces or maybe what they look like, I can go down here and do Create, Load Material Presets. And these are material presets. I'll just start with white, of course. These are material presets, and you have to go deep into the software to alter those original presets. But these are things that can allow you to get some basic control to start new textures. So here is I'm going to zoom in just so we can see it. So here is my disk, and I can drag the white onto that disk so it is nice and shiny, so I can get a kind of nice look at that. Now if I wanted to, now that I've made this, I can actually kind of change the very basics of it. So for example, this actually is kind of a somewhat warm toned, and I think I want this a little bit cool toned, so I'm going to bring this back to maybe kind of more of a sky blue. Yeah, so here, and its brightness is very high. So that's going to mean it's very so I can go dark and it would be kind of more like a dull metal. Brightness is very high, but I'm going to keep it there with the brightness very high. So you can actually kind of start to play with a little bit of the way things look. So I'm also now going to hide oil tank and turn on my hydrogen H, and I'm going to create, this time I'm going to work with glass, and I'm going to work with glass simple blue. So glass simple blue looks pretty good. I am going to sit here and drag it on to these, and I'm going to look at it. Now glass has a lot of transparency, so it may not be immediately clear what you're looking at, but I'm going to basically make this a little darker. You can see that at least this viewer has gotten darker. You can play with brightness. This will make it a little more opaque. But if you really, but this isn't fully rendered. Why this works fast is because it's not fully rendering. And if you really want to look at what things look like, you just press on the render view. And that's going to give you a better look at what it's going to look like. So I'm going to turn on my oil tank. I'm going to go to my blue material. I'm going to turn that brightness down so it feels a little more translucent. A little, there, turn that down so it's a little more kind of dark, and let's see what it looks like. Takes a while to calculate. Now, not getting much dramatic results, so I'm going to actually add a light. So I'm going to zoom out a bit. I'm going to add a light, and this light's going to help those materials really pop. Now the light is in there, but since this viewport doesn't actively render all the light calculations all the time, you can't really see so much. So I'm going to go up to the foretop by clicking this little thing here. So I'm going to go to the floor top, and I'm going to make sure my light is selected. I'm going to, let's go ahead and do the move tool. There we go. I'm going to move this out, and let me go back here. Maybe move it up. I'll go back. There we go. That should be kind of right in its face. Let's go back here. Let's get off the move tool. I think that's kind of looking good. Let's go ahead and see what it's beginning to look like. All right, that is beginning to feel, now that the light's on it, it's really beginning to render and kind of get that deep blue glass and kind of reflective white that I am after. So I think that actually looks pretty good. Now if I want to see this in action, I can go and reposition my viewport, and let's see right here. It's going to animate in. Oh, one more thing. Now these guys I arranged to be like this, but the movement is on this oil tank. Now again, the way that Cinema 4D works is all these objects have relationships. So there's a parent-child relationship and a peer relationship. So hydrogen, this category, which is technically a null object, hydrogen, has two children. Extrude has a child and some grandchildren, and extrude and oil tank are peers, so they're equal. They're not one over the other. So I can take extrude and drag it in to oil tank, and look, there's a little if I can get that going. There's a little down arrow. If I do it like that, it's going to be a peer. If I do it down with a down arrow, that's going to mean it's a child. And so the extrude is going to absorb all the movement of that first object. So now I can go back and what I'm